Welcome back, BRProud.com. You know this guy, former national champion, LSU outfielder Mikie Mahtook, joining us every single week. And, of course, go check out his stuff. I love the stuff with Paul Skeens, Thatcher Hurd, 2-on-2. Well, you count Lloyd, so 3-on-2.
2.5 on 2.
It's not a one-on-one, but it's really good stuff, especially if you want to nerd out on some baseball. And you know I love to do that. LSU fans love to do that. They also love to travel to Omaha. Talk to me about your lasting memory, the last thing that you can remember about Omaha and the College World Series. I'm assuming it was a really, really good one.
That was one of the best experiences of my life, right? Obviously, we were there for the entire time. We won the whole thing. I was able to have some pretty cool moments with those last 3 games of the series. And, game 1, we won extra innings against Texas, and I was able to get the game-winning base hit on the top of the 11th. So that one, obviously, that's a close one for me. I enjoy that one. But the one that really, sticks out is when we finally won the whole thing. And, we won, I think it was 11-4 was the final. And so we kind of had the game, under wraps. And then Coach started taking out all the veterans or the guys who got drafted and, putting some of the guys in the bench, from the bench onto the field. And we end the game, and they bring you the news clippings, champions. And me and Anthony Renato were walking around, and we jumped on the tarp, and we were just yelling with the sign up. And that one just sticks in my head. And if somebody out there, I don't know who would have, if anyone has that picture of me on the tarp, please send it to me, because it was one of the coolest memories I've had.
Well, the Go Nation at home rolls deep, so you may get a response. They love to go back. I've been 13 and 17 now. You've been just talk to me about the experience from the players' side, what they're going to go through over these next couple of days, and how do you keep that laser focus?
Yeah, it's tough, because there's a lot of different things happening. There's a lot of people pulling you in different directions. I think one thing this team has, the advantage this team has, is they've been in the limelight from day one of this season, right? They understand what it is like to have all that attention. They understand how to compartmentalize that attention. But when they get there, they fly out tomorrow morning, and they practice, I believe, tomorrow afternoon or tomorrow evening.
Okay.
That first practice is awesome. You got 20,000 people out in the stands, they're watching you practice. You kind of have some butterflies hitting batting practice, and I think it helps you kind of ease into the games, because you kind of get that first little bit of nervousness out. And so they're going to be there, and they're going to have a dinner scheduled. They're going to have practices scheduled, and they're going to get there. They play on Saturday, so at least they'll have a few days to kind of get acclimated to the energy and get acclimated to a new city and the hotel. And so, there's going to be a lot of moving parts. But I think once they get through that first practice and they kind of get on their routine, I think that they're going to be fine. The first couple innings on Saturday, once you get through that, I think it's going to kind of normalize a little bit, and it's baseball as usual.
Well, let's dive into the baseball, because that's what I love. We sit back there in the sports bar, man. We talk more. That should be on. The conversations behind the scenes should be the ones that we do. I think we should keep that behind the scenes. Right. But talk to me about. I hate the what if questions, but we're going to do it because we got you here. So your first matchup is Tennessee. One, the familiarity. Two, the big stage. You mix it all in. You assume that maybe Paul Skeens. Talk to me about the tactical advantages there, and then I want to hear from you on the what if playing the #1 team in the country, and they look like a monster.
Yep.
I mean, they bullied Alabama 22-5. Wake Forest is waiting in the weeds for you.
Yeah, so I believe that bracket, the bracket that we are in, is obviously is the tougher side of the World Series. I mean, you have in that one side of the bracket, you have three of the 4 teams were preseason top 5 teams in the country. And so they're all on one side of the bracket. Obviously, the familiarity with Tennessee. Chase, Delander's probably going to be on the mound for them. He's going to be a top 10 pick, top 15 pick in the draft. Paul Skeens will be on the mound. I mean, has not come out, but you'd have to imagine your ace is going to have the first game. He's going to set the tone, and I think anytime Paul's on the mound, it raises the confidence level up of any team that was going to be playing behind him, because he's that good. Tennessee obviously lost LSU at home. They're going to come out with a little bit more energy and a little bit more of a chip on their shoulder. I don't know how much that's going to actually matter in the grand scheme of things, because LSU, it's a World Series. Everybody's going to have that type of energy. But I'd imagine that the guys go out there and Paul throws a great game, and I think the offense is going to put up some really good at-bats. I think they've been playing really well. I think the lineup is finally where Jay wants it to be. I think Pearson being inserted in the 9-hole and being the guy that he's been, I think that completes the lineup. I think the way he's able to handle the bat, you add a guy at the bottom of the lineup who puts together professional at-bat after professional at-bat, turning the lineup over consistently. I think that he likes where the lineup's at. And look, Chase Delander has given up some runs this year. He's been good, but he hasn't been the same pitcher as he was the year before. Not saying he's not talented. He doesn't have the ability to go out there and show. I know he threw a complete game in the Super Regional against Southern Miss. But I think that I'm pretty confident in the offense going up against him. And, you win that first game, and then you move on to game 2, which, more than likely is going to be against Wake Forest. Wake Forest has the best pitching staff in the country. They have the best ERA in the country. Their closer's really good. They have 3 really good starters, and they have a lineup that can bang. Now, we'll say this. Seems like their field over there isn't the biggest field in the world. I'm not saying anything about their offense, right? But the left field line is 310 down the line, right? Is it Charles Schwab Field now? It's Charles Schwab Field now in Omaha is a big yard, right? Balls are going to, or home runs in the regular season probably aren't going to be home runs, even though they are hitting golf balls right now in this season, the way how tightly wound these baseballs are. I believe that it plays to LSU's strengths. They're going to go out there and get it in the outfield. If Ty Floyd's on the mound, he's a fly ball pitcher. Some of these balls that maybe got win-aided and got pushed out aren't going to go out anymore. But I think if you win game 1, it's all hands on deck game 2. Because if you win game 2, you have 2 or 3 days off in between. You're able to get fully rested. It's all full go. Whoever's available, you're going to be able to pitch. Whatever happens, you just got to get through that second game. And once you do that, you're in the driver's seat, and you put yourself in a really good position to make a really deep run.
Yeah, kind of talk to me about, I guess, just Omaha in general. You talked about Charles Schwab Field. It used to be TD Ameritrade, whatever it's called. I remember going there in 2013. They're like, we have to literally bring the walls in. When that wind blows in, like nothing is getting it. Mark McGuire could go out there and have trouble getting it over the wall. So just kind of talk to me about the enormity of the stage as well. You're playing in a ballpark or a size ballpark. And we talk about this in basketball, the depth perception in the lines. It's different playing in the Final Four when you play in a big stadium. It just looks different. The ball comes off different. Talk to me about the venue.
Yeah, it's anytime you move into a new spot, the ground's different, the grass is different, the dimensions are a little different, the way the ball carries is a little different. So that's the beauty of being able to practice on the field. So everybody gets to practice on the main field at least once before the tournament starts. After that, it's high school fields and it's wherever else you can practice. But being able to adjust your sights to, hey, the ball is going to look a little different coming out of his hand. The stadium's bigger, so you have a second deck, and you're going to have, a different depth perception from the outfield. When I was in the big leagues, my first game in the big leagues, I was nervous at home plate, but I was more nervous when I got to the outfield because I've never seen the third deck. So, the way the ball came off, the bat was completely different, and you kind of get a little bit of that in Omaha. It's not quite as big as a big league stadium, but 30,000 people are going to be able to fit in that stadium. It's going to be loud, but at the end of the day, once you get on the field and you get through those first couple innings, I think everything starts to really feel normal again, and the jitters trying to go away, and you start to realize, okay, it's just baseball. I'm going to go out there and do the same things I've been doing all year, and this team is full of great leaders and guys who I don't want to say have been there because there's only a couple guys on this team that have actually been to Omaha, but the moment has never been too big for most of the guys on this team, and so I feel like they're going to be ready for the challenge, and they're going to be in a situation where they're going to make a run.
All right, so you hyped me up. You talked about how Dolander isn't that good, and they might have a small stadium.
I didn't say he wasn't that good. Yeah,
we're gonna clobber Tennessee. We're gonna clobber the number 1 team in the country. Give me a concern that you do have going into this one.
Yeah, obviously, and look, this isn't just for LSU, but Omaha is not built for teams to make a deep run if you lose, coming out of the loser's bracket, right? And it's like, oh, well, LSU's pitching's not deep enough. No, pitching's, nobody in college has the pitching that deep to where you're confident or comfortable coming through a loser's bracket. You're going to have to hit your way through it. Now, look, some guys can come out and have some really good pitching performances and really pick up the team. But for me, my biggest concern is making sure that you don't lose that first game. And if you do, how are we gonna mix and match the pitching staff? Obviously, you have 2 more starters that you're very confident in, and hopefully they can go deep and they can pick up the pieces. But if you're able to burn through some of these bullpen guys, then you get to the situation where you're kind of overextending some guys, and you're throwing some guys into some positions that they're not maybe familiar with. I don't think that they are going to lose the first game, but if I had to put a concern on it, it would be, okay, if something were to happen and let's say you lose a 2-1 game or 3-2 game, how are we gonna navigate through the loser's bracket? But I think that's a concern for every team.
Yeah, the question that I have kind of coming in is that game 2, and kind of like you said, like it's all in. And if Ty Floyd maybe gives up a couple early runs, do you save Thatcher? Do you bring Thatcher right in? I mean, is it 4th, 5th, or 6th inning? It kind of determines a little bit of that. But if Thatcher Hurd is your 3rd best pitcher, you feel like at this point in the season, are you tempted to maybe pitch him game 2 if Ty Floyd runs into some trouble?
I think that's a possibility. It depends on the score, obviously. And look, Ty, he only went through 3 last weekend, but it wasn't like he pitched terrible. He grinded through the first inning, gave up a run the first, and he gives up runs on solo homers, right? And that's okay, right? If you're gonna be able to just give up runs on solo homers, I'll take my chances on the fact that the team's not going to continue to hit solo home run after solo home run after solo. And if they do, great. But if they hit 5 home runs and it's only 5-0, that still puts you in a position where the offense can come back and win. So, if the game and the score determines, like if it's tight, right? If it's a close game, I would not be shocked to see Thatcher come in, especially if we have the lead. If they take that tie out the game with the lead, I would not be shocked to see Thatcher come in and give you extended innings. And I thought Thatcher would have done that in game 2 of the Super Regional, right? I thought he was going to come in after Ty or after Riley, when Riley Cooper kind of bridged the gap. Yeah. And he went with Gavin Guidry, and he threw Gavin Guidry for 3 innings, who's been unbelievable, and he did everything you wanted him to do. Thatcher threw an entire game in the bullpen getting ready, but Jay's shown that he's confident with going with Riley Cooper for extended. He's confident going now with Gavin Guidry extended innings, and obviously he's confident going with Thatcher Hurd. So I think you have 3 really good options to bridge gaps if you have to.
All right, last one is a softball. You've never been to the College World Series now as a fan, right?
Not since I've been. I went when I was 8 years old. I've never been to the new stadium. Yeah.
As an adult, so maybe one thing you are looking forward to, is there a spot, a place, seeing the fans, the families? I mean,
honestly, I am looking forward to walking through the concourse and being a fan of baseball for a little bit, right? Like walking in, being able to go through the fan experience of Omaha, and being able to see how the players are kind of navigating through this thing and how they are approaching this game from a different perspective, right? I got to see it at LSU in Alex Box Stadium last weekend when they won the Super Regional. I was able to walk down the field, and I was able to get to see the celebration from a different perspective, which was really cool. Yeah. It was really cool to see the parents' reactions and the families' reactions, because in 2009 I went through that. And when you're in the middle of it, you don't really notice it because it's just everything's happening so quick. And then when you go on the other side of it and you get to see it, it's really cool to see, not only do the players put a ton of work in, but the parents, their entire lives have sacrificed for their kids, and they are just as bought in as their children. And you saw tears. They're obviously all happy tears and hugs, and it was really cool to see. So I think I'm looking forward to that.
I always look forward to clicking on Mic'd Up with Mikie Mahtook. I do it every single week, especially during baseball. It is a must. Go check him out there. I always do the YouTube, but he's all over social media. He's the national champion, hoping we add to the Intimidator one more. Thanks for clicking on BRProud.com.